Right, I'm going to start with my introductions and we'll just get a kickoff. And then anyone who's a couple minutes late, hopefully just misses a little bit of me talking. I always like to do it that way. So like I said already, happy Friday and welcome. My name is Sarah Mayu. I'm our program manager here at Temple Small Business Development Center. And this is part of our manufacturing series. So we're doing a marketing deep dive for anyone in the manufacturing space. And you might be thinking, am I a manufacturer? Well, I mean, if you're making a product and you're selling it and you're distributing it, you're a manufacturer. And even if you're not, digital marketing is something you're going to need in any business. So I guarantee you will find some really great value in what we're going to be going through here today. And I do encourage you to look at the rest of the series as well. We have a 10-part manufacturing series, and this is just the second class in it. So there's 8 more coming up that you can definitely take a look at on our website. I see a lot of familiar faces on the attendee list here today. If you're brand new to the Temple SBDC, I'm just going to give my little intro spiel here, which is the Temple Small Business Development Center is part of a nationally accredited network of small business development centers. And there are actually over 1,000 of these centers in the United States. We're funded by the Small Business Administration at the federal level. And then each one is also funded at the state level and hosted at a local university. So we're hosted at Temple University here in Philadelphia, but there are actually 16 small business development centers in Pennsylvania. We're just one of 16. And we focus on Philadelphia, Eastern Montgomery, and Lower Bucks County. But since this is a webinar, you are here virtually, and you can be here from Scranton, Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, wherever you are. We are more than happy to have you with us today. A couple just quick administrative items. This is set up as a Zoom webinar, so you cannot accidentally turn your video on. You can't unmute yourself. If you would like to, comment or interact with each other, please utilize the chat. And if you have a question for our guest speaker, please put it in the Q&A. I'll be monitoring both, but the Q&A, it's just, I won't have to sort through as many comments if you put it in the Q&A. So we do ask that you do that. And please ask questions throughout. If something comes up on a slide and you immediately have a question, go ahead and put that in the Q&A and we'll get to it as soon as we can. We like to keep these as engaging as possible. Like I said, keep some high energy up here at the end of a Friday, at the end of a work week. You will be getting a copy of the PowerPoint and a recording sent in a follow-up email that goes out within 1 to 2 business days. So you'll most likely receive it Monday. And if you have any other questions, I'll be monitoring the chat the whole time. So if you have something that's more administrative, you can always let me know as well. I will be here throughout the session. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Allison DeFord of Felt Marketing. She'll be doing Digital Marketing 101 for US manufacturers here with us today. So Allison, why don't you go ahead and get us started?
Hey, Sarah, thanks for having me. Hi, everybody. Give me a little wave in the chat if you're excited to be here. I'm excited to be here. We've got a lot to cover today. You're going to take away so many good things from this. And so I say, let's jump right in. Along the way, like she said, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. You're not interrupting. I'm happy to answer or go back to a slide if I'm going too fast. And then happy to answer any questions afterward or in the office hours following. So let's get going. I'll share my screen and we will jump right in. Okay. So I want to make sure everybody can see my screen okay. Sarah,
yep,
can you?
It's good.
Perfect. Okay. So we're here to talk about digital marketing. I feel like the word digital marketing has become, I don't know, this thing like, is this something that I have to do? Is this a trend? Is this different than regular marketing? And so I am here to tell you that digital marketing is just simply part of your overall marketing strategy from here and forever forward until some major change happens again. It's nothing complicated. It's nothing to be afraid of. And it's certainly something that you can master. And that's what I want to help you do. And the best way to do that is by creating a scalable system. And the second caveat to that is that it connects to your ideal customers, right? Because you're not trying to talk to everybody. You're trying to talk to somebody. And so by figuring out who that somebody is and what's important to them, your marketing is going to be way more successful. So let's start at the beginning. You're thinking, what's in it for me? I showed up. I'm giving you some of my time. What am I going to get out of this? Okay, we're going to help you do 3 things. This is the juicy center, the caramel in the middle, as it were. So we're going to help it. We're going to make it easier for people to find you, for people to trust you, and for people to choose you. Now, let's talk about really quick the elephant in the Zoom. I got that from my friend Ann Handley, but I just love it. So let's talk about the obvious. Most manufacturers waste time and money on marketing that doesn't grow sales. I've done it. If you've done it, give me a thumbs up in the comments. Here's the good news though. You're not alone, and you can stop doing that and start making more money with your marketing system. So why is digital so important for your connected system? You might be thinking one of 2 things. Okay, it's one more thing I got to add to my plate that I don't really know how to do. So what am I going to do? Or 2, am I just jumping on the trend bandwagon and fear of missing out? So I'm here to tell you that this is neither of those. It is something that you can master, and it's something that will make sales easier and more profitable by helping you be where your customers are. That's the most important kind of marketing. You don't have to be everywhere, okay? You don't have to be on every social platform, but the most important places to be are where your customers are. And so by understanding them, you'll figure that out. So why is this important to you? It's to help you get to your desired hero state. That would be the land of growth. And I've got Wonder Woman here for all my ladies in the audience. So anyway, we want to help you grow. So let's talk about the second thing, the obstacles that may be getting in your way right now. No clear connected strategy. You could give me a thumbs up in the comments if that's what you have going on right now. Again, you're not alone. 2, your sales and marketing are siloed. So let's say that you're maybe a little bit larger and you've got your sales team over here and your marketing person or your agency or whoever you're working with over here. Nobody's playing nice together. Nobody's communicating. So that's been going on for years. And I think de-siloing is definitely the way to go. Something else that may be getting in your way is you're not measuring and adapting along the way. I have been guilty of that in the past. I am a marketer, so I totally get it. If you're not paying attention to how well or not well things are working and you're not making adjustments along the way, that is a way that you're probably wasting money on marketing that isn't growing sales. Or 4, you still think marketing is nice to have, but not necessary, right? I think of it as an expense instead of an investment. So if these are things that have crossed your mind, fear not. We're going to help you retrofit your system, get to the heart of your ideal customer, and make sales easier and more profitable. So if you, by chance, are feeling skeptical, stay with me because we're going to jump right into what that system can look like. Okay, the important thing to know is that today you're competing on a global scale in a digital world. Old marketing is slow, expensive, and hard to measure. Today's marketing is the opposite, right? It's fast moving, it's more affordable, and it's easier to measure. All great news. And I like to think of your system as a spoken wheel, right? And more automatic versus manual. So you've got all the different spokes, right? Print, mobile, trade show, social, online, identity, phone, and location, all working together. And I like to use this as an example. This is a Hoberman sphere. And when you open it up, see how all the colors, all the paths, they're all connected and they work beautifully together. Now imagine if this was rolling down a hill, would it go faster and pick up momentum if it was like this and connected like a wheel and spokes with a healthy center? Or imagine if some of the spokes are bent, some are missing, and this was an awkward shape and not a holistic system or a wheel. It's not going to go as fast, right? It's going to be more clunky. So that's why it's important to think of this as a system and to consider all the different spokes that you have available to you. So let's start with one of the major problems that manufacturers have today with their marketing, and that's content conundrum. This is a real thing. You probably won't find it in the medical books, but the wee syndrome is what I like to call it. So what does that mean exactly? Well, I tell you, if you took a quick look, I call it the 5-second speed test on your website, count how many times it says we on the homepage versus you. You'll be surprised. I've been through this myself. I was surprised. I had to flip the script. So don't feel bad. It's not a put down. It's to make yourself more aware where you are experiencing the wee syndrome, probably in your social media. We're doing this. We won this award. We'll be at this trade show. The thing that I like to impart on manufacturers is that they don't care about you. They care about them, right? What's in it for me? So I want to encourage you to stop looking at your own navel and start answering the 3 questions. What's in it for them? Why should they buy this? And why should they buy this from you? And I want you to think about that at every touch point, right? Every place that someone comes in contact with your brand, what's in it for them? Is it immediate? Or as Donald Miller says, are you making them burn calories by trying to figure out what the heck you're talking about? Because maybe you're talking in your speak instead of their language. I love to use this picture. I grew up with 5 first cousins that were all boys, and grew up in Indiana. So we'd be running around in the summertime. It's super humid. They got their shirts off. I was jealous because I wanted to do that too. And, you know, I would just marvel at them when they would all of a sudden, you know, they're fascinated with their own navel. They're making it talk or burp or laugh or whatever. And I just thought, God, that's what we do, isn't it? We get so focused on our own navel and our own company and our own products that we forget to demonstrate the value of what's in it for them, because they don't care about us. They care about them. And you, just like you, right? We're all customers. So I think we can all relate. So the cure for this is to flip the script. So why am I talking about this instead of jumping in and talking about your website or your social media or your email list? Because this is the cornerstone for everything, is to replace as much as you can we and our with you and your. So I call this flipping the script. And why do we want to do this? Because we want to make the customer the hero of your story. Not you, it's about them, right? Same way I started with this talk. I'm not the hero of my story. I'm not the hero of this presentation. You are. I'm showing up for you. I want to empower you and equip you to succeed and help you grow. This is what you want to help your customers do. So these are the 5 things that you want to consider when you are writing your website copy, which you may change after this presentation, right? So are you inviting them into a story, something bigger than just, don't you want to buy this widget, right? What is that transformation for them? You'll do your job faster. Your day will become easier. I'm oversimplifying it, but it doesn't have to be complicated. The thing that your product or service helps them solve. 2, you want to show them that you're going to guide them with a plan. 3, you want to show them their desired hero state. It's kind of like, think about weight loss products. For years, you know, I think it's changed a little bit because they're starting to be a little more realistic and say, you know, here's Bob, here's Mary Jane, they weigh 300 pounds, you know, it's like, here's where you are and love yourself. And that's all good. But think about it. People want to see the thin, the finished version, right? The healthier, more fit this is what you want to become. That's why you came here. We can help you get there. So that kind of idea. 4, you want to demonstrate how you make it easier, faster, more fun. I did say fun, the F word, or profitable for them. So that's the what's in it for them. And then you want to close the story loop by showing them what their transformation looks like. And then you want to have calls to action at every touch point. That's the other part of you being the guide, right? People want to know, what do I do next? How do I find a distributor? How do I make a purchase? How do I find out more? Now, why do we care about this? Because people make buying decisions emotionally 90% of the time. I know when I found this out, I thought, what? We've been talking to people for years, pushing our features and benefits, and that's talking to the left side of their brain. That's the rational side, the linear side, right? They only make decisions to purchase things 10% of the time on that side of the brain. We're leaving 90% of the brain on the table. So I say, let's tap into that and let's create emotionally engaged customers. Again, why do you want to do that? 3 statistics: 33% less price sensitive. What? 44% less likely to go to competitors, and 300% more likely to recommend you. And word of mouth, as you know, is priceless. So that's definitely something we want to help you get to. This is the power of being not just seen and heard, interrupting people, shouting, marketing at them, but by also being felt, creating that emotional connection and tapping into that bigger side, or I'm sorry, you're looking at the screen, bigger side of the brain. So I call this customer chemistry. That's what this emotional engagement creates. And it expands the accepted goal of ROI, which we all want, right? A return on our investment, a return on our dollars spent. It turns it into ROI cubed. You're not just getting a return on investment, but you're also getting a return on influence and a return on innovation. Who doesn't want that? Give me a thumbs up if that's something you would like. I know that's something I want. So the first thing we're going to do to create our system is we're going to figure out who our audience actually is. We're going to create customer personas. We're going to give them a name and a face. You can use a stock image. You could use a picture of an actual customer. This is Dan, the distributor or dealer. He is the middleman. His desired hero state is to be the champion, right? He wants stuff flying off the shelf. He wants to carry all the things that you or his customers want. He wants to carry items that are people just can't live without, and they're readily available, and they're like fill in the blank. What are things that Dan wants are important to him? So that's the number 2. You want to figure out his or her desired hero state. You want to understand their goals, their frustrations, their motivations, and then their affinity or values, and figure out, that's why we include the social thing. Where are they hanging out more times than not? For example, a lot of CEOs not probably spending a lot of time on Facebook for business, but they're definitely on LinkedIn. Surprisingly, people are surprised to know that architects, for example, and contractors are on Instagram. And now a lot of people are on TikTok. So it's just paying attention to where these people, pardon me, are spending their time. And that is critical. So once we know who our audience is, and I would suspect that you'll end up having 3 or 4 audience personas. You may have more. You can get down into the weeds with those, but don't overwhelm yourself if you've never done this, or if it's time to update the ones that you have. So just start with 2 or 3, and then craft them as needed. You know, if you start to figure out, well, we've got distributors, but we've got 2 different kinds, then make 2 different personas. The first question that I always encourage clients to, when they're doing this exercise, is, how do you want Dan, the distributor, to feel? and I get this look across the table. They're like, what? How do you want him or her to feel? And if you look at this diagram, it's showing you the life cycle, the buyer's journey, right? I'm become aware of your product, and then I start to evaluate, and then I make a purchase, and then I use it. I'm happy. And then I repurchase because I really liked it. And now I'm going to tell people about it because this was so good. And along the journey, right, they're coming in contact with your brand at all these different touch points. Now, the mistake that many manufacturers make is they stop right in the middle. After purchase, there's no nurturing, there's no email series, there's no value in consistent social media. You're not leading the conversation. It's a missed opportunity because you want to lead the person back through the journey, right? So now here we are to the important, big, fat, juicy, what does the system look like? We work with a lot of building materials manufacturers. And so it dawned on us that this system could actually be thought of like building a building, right? Or a house, some kind of structure. You've got, and I'll go through each one of these in the following slides. You've got your diagnostic, which I call a breakthrough. It's where you really find out what you're made of. We run clients through these all the time. This is something that you could do on your own, where you really look at your brand over across the 6 or 8 categories that I'm going to show you in a minute that were those spokes, right? And you're going to take a look at your, like maybe 2 or 3 competitors. I think it's more important to pay attention to your customers than your competitors. But in looking at the competitive landscape, what usually happens is it allows you to see what each person is, what they stand for in the market, what's their position, and what's your unfair advantage that maybe you haven't claimed yet. That's why I think that's really important. 2, then you want to evaluate your brand. Then you want to create a marketing strategy, a content strategy, content, and your amplifiers, all the fun stuff, right? Your website, actually participating in social media, trade show, all that fun stuff. But you can see when you've got a stronger foundation and all of the items in between, by the time you're ready to hook up and amplify, which that's all those things are, right? Your website and social and email and print, they're just amplifiers. So hopefully what you're saying, what you're amplifying is a message that's going to resonate with the people who will care. So let's break it down. In a breakthrough diagnostic, I call this like site preparation. So here is a tool that we created. This will be in your deck. It's the periodic table of customer touch points. And we started thinking about this about 10 years ago and have put about a decade's worth of research and effort into this particular tool that you see here. And we started thinking, most of our clients are very linear thinkers and they're very left brain, and they don't always have a good taste in their mouth for marketing, right? Because I think marketing has gotten a bad rap over the years. There's been a lot of bad marketing that's happened, a lot of smoke and mirrors. I don't believe in that. I don't subscribe to that school of marketing. I believe in marketing with heart, and not at people, but on behalf of your customers and for your customers, right? This is to help them have a better experience, a better life, a more successful business. So we started thinking and we thought, science, facts, that resonates with people. That makes sense. And so then that one thing led to another, and we came up with customer chemistry, and we went chemistry, the periodic table. Yes. So that's where this came from. And we've broken it down into the different categories. I know it's hard for you to see on the screen, but you'll be able to see it when you get your deck. But we've broken it up into identity, print, online, mobile, social, location, conference, and trade show. And I'll give you a quick example of how you use this tool. So now that I know who my customer is and I know what they care about and I know what their hero state is, let's figure out where we're showing up now and what that looks like across this landscape. So this is an actual client. We did this a couple of weeks ago. They're a manufacturer out of Miami, and their headquarters are in Spain. And we said, okay, where are you showing up in terms of customer touch points? Where are you showing up? Where are people coming in contact with your brand? And so every one of those was yellow. That means it's active, right? Yeah, we've got a website. Yeah, we have a tagline. Yeah, we have a culture. We have email. We have phone messaging, that sort of thing. 1 minute. And then we said, okay, let's go back in green and let's look at which one of those touch points are optimized, which ones are working really well for you. And so that narrowed it down further. So as you can see, out of all the opportunities that they have, they're only optimized in, 6 places. Now I'll show you, this is what they could be doing. I know, right? This is my favorite thing, is when you do this exercise with a manufacturer and they look at each other like, why aren't we taking advantage of this, right? And these aren't all things that you have to pay for an agency or whomever to do for you. Some of these things you can do yourself. So this is a way for you to see where you're leaving money on the table and where your opportunities are for growth. So let's go back to our system. So the second thing that you want to strengthen is your foundation, your brand. Your brand is not just your logo and your name and your tagline, but it's who customers think you are. Now, this may surprise some of you. You could put a thumbs up in the comments if this is surprising to you, but it's true. And the other thing that is unfortunate is that many of you are acting like a commodity instead of a specialty. And you might say, well, gosh, we're just a CNC shop. We just machine, aerospace parts. It's not flashy, or I don't know. I have a business where we do, custom bicycles, or I fill in the blank. But the thing is that everything used to be a commodity until it wasn't. So think about coffee. And then Starbucks created an experience. Is Starbucks the best coffee in the world? And I drink it almost every day. It's not. But it's the experience and the brand and the affinity that they have created that took coffee from a commodity to a specialty. Same with water. I grew up in the 70s, 80s. Water was water until it wasn't, until Fiji bottled it, until Arrowhead, Avion, fill in the blank now, until they made it something special. So that's the opportunity you have with your brand. And I could go on about that forever. So that's like a whole segment on its own. So I'll keep going. So we want to make it easier to know you. That's the point of a really strong and clear brand. The next thing you want to do is your marketing strategy. Now, most manufacturers that I've worked with, their strategy was a little more haphazard than planned. If you can relate, you can give me a thumbs up. I've been there myself. Okay, so I have road tested all of these things. I have been in your shoes and I totally get it. It's getting really clear on how, where, and when you're going to interact with people. This is going to make it easier to find you. So if you're clear and you have this planned approach, we're going to show up every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday on social media on these platforms. We're going to talk about these topics that our customers care about. We're going to show up at these specific trade shows. We're going to message people before, during, and after the show in these specific ways. We're going to have this email drip campaign once people opt in to download our freebie on our website. And then we're going to talk to them about these things. See where I'm going with that? That's your connected marketing strategy. Make it easier to find you. And then you want to have a lot of strategy, right? This is part of it. This is like a subset. So once you've got your marketing strategy, put together a content strategy. If you don't know how to do that, you can simply hire a freelance writer, right? There are many people in the B2B space and in manufacturing that are really good at this. So you don't have to hire a whole agency. If you are good at writing, you could do this yourself. If you're not, I recommend you hire somebody. But why a content strategy? Because it's going to help you be proactive instead of reactive. It's going to help you determine how often you're going to interact. Why is that important? Because it's going to make it easier to rely on you. Think about it. If there's a brand that you follow, let's use the Temple SBDC as an example. If they only posted occasionally and maybe had a webinar randomly, there's no consistency. And consistency breeds familiarity. Familiarity builds trust, right? You can trust that Sarah and her team will show up and show up and show up. Whether or not you can take advantage of every opportunity or every webinar, or you read every email or see every social post, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're consistent, and it's going to help make it easier for people to rely on you, to know that you're always there, right? You're always coming up with something new. You're always talking about things that they care about. And then before you get to the big important, amplifiers, your website, and I know everybody wants to jump into that right away when they're changing up their marketing. But before you do that, create some new content, right? And cure the wee syndrome. So this is that place where you become engaged versus ignored. What you say, how you say it, make it easier to choose you. Make it easier for someone to say yes. I always say, make it so easy to say yes, there's no way they could say no, because you've demonstrated, one, that you know them really well, two, you know what they care about, and three, you're solving a problem that they have better than anybody else. And you're also leading the conversation consistently. So then the big fun thing that I know everybody loves, I do too, is your amplifiers, right? This is how you're going to amplify your message, your marketing message. Excuse me. This is going to help you convert instead of just interrupting people. So this is how you connect before and after the sale. Make it easier to buy from you. I can't stress this enough. It will change your results dramatically. So, okay, let's jump into some of the nitty gritty, and I'm covering a lot of stuff today. Rather than going into the weeds about each one of these items, we could maybe do that on a different webinar. I'll talk to Sarah and them about doing that, but that's something that we could literally spend an entire hour, week, you name it, on each one of these items. So forgive me if I'm being too broad. If you have any questions, please let me know. I can't see the chat right now, so I'm going to count on Sarah to tap me and let me know if you have a question right now. So with your website, I want to encourage you to pay attention, and these are 5 things that will absolutely improve your website starting today. Okay, you ready? 1, content. You're going to be so tired of hearing me say that in this hour. Content is truly king. Now, why is content so important? Well, number 1, it's what you're saying and what people are reading and seeing. Content isn't only words, it's also pictures. Content is everything that you put out. So, pay attention to the images that you have on your site. Is it just pictures of product? Is it pictures of your building? Is it pictures of stacks of lumber or rows of tools? That isn't motivating to people. I promise you. That is not engaging with that 90% side of their brain. What is engaging is something that makes them feel a certain way or a certain something, or question something, or get excited or curious. So think about the images that you're using on your site, and also don't be afraid to use video. It's very compelling. It's very powerful. People absorb it like 1,000 times faster than they do printed word. So definitely consider that. And the other thing that I want you to remember is that you don't have to have gobs of content on your website because people aren't going to read it. But think about, which we'll talk about in a minute, SEO, search engine optimization. The right keywords and phrases and content is what's going to help Google serve you up when somebody's doing a search. So that's why I harp about content, because it's so important. To the user experience, you want to pay attention to how easy is it once they get to your website, how easy is it to get to where they want to go in 2 clicks? Do they have to search? Do they have to burn a bunch of calories? Make it easy. Make sure the experience, put yourself through the experience. I did that recently, and I said, you know what, guys, we're way past time in redesigning our website because we need to make a better experience for the people that are coming here. So again, guilty as charged, and I totally understand, but it's something that we can change. Help them have a better experience. Okay, calls to action. This is the third thing, and this is missing on nearly every manufacturer's website that I've ever looked at or worked on. They call them CTAs, calls to action. What do you want the person to do next? There should be a call to action at the end of every bit of copy, at the bottom of every page on your website, at the end of every segment, right? Most websites are broken up into components, parts and pieces. Make sure you have a call to action. There are 2 kinds, passive and active. So a passive call to action would be someone who maybe just wants to learn more, right? And someone who's ready may want to get access. See the difference? So there are different kinds of calls to action, and there are lots of articles about this online. So if you're unsure, feel free to just do a search. The 4th thing you want to make sure you're doing is inviting them into a story with your unique value proposition. That can be something as simple as 1 sentence. And it should be above the fold, right? That means above the bottom of the screen where they can see it immediately. And it tells them, this is the promise we're making. This is what you can count on. And you're inviting them into that bigger story instead of just, we're a such and such manufacturer and we sell X. It's not inviting. That's not anything bigger. It's not anything I may want to be a part of. So, and then the 5th thing you want to do, pardon me, is you want to create a lead generator. So that can be something as simple as a free PDF download. Well, does anybody want another PDF download? Yes, they do. As long as there is some value in it for them, they will download it. Make it something that they would want, right? 10 things, 10 problems we solve for, name your customers. Who doesn't want that? And if I can have it, it only costs me my email address. So in a recent, some recent research from Donald Miller and StoryBrand, they suggested that the average person's email address they feel is worth about $20. So if you can make your lead generator worth $20, somebody will give you their email address. Why do you want to collect email addresses? Because they're algorithm resistant. And what do I mean by that? The social platforms, the algorithms are crazy. They screw with our messaging. It's just what it is. This is not something I'm making up. It's the bane of our existence, and something that we have to battle with every day is trying, well, I posted all this stuff. Isn't everybody seeing it? Maybe not. So that's a whole nother conversation. But the point is that if you can build your email list, you are going to be able to message people as often as you like, as often as makes sense, and continue providing value and showing up for them. So, and the inbox is a very sacred space. So I always encourage you to treat it with great respect, but don't be shy. If they're only hearing from you once a month, that's not enough. Okay, 2, and I want to pay attention to the time here. We've got maybe 10 minutes left, so we're going to whip through the end and then we will wrap up. Search engine marketing optimization. This is going to help you, by paying attention to this, increase your company's visibility in search engines like Google, Yahoo. And you don't have to run Google ads. I encourage you to do so cautiously at first. This comes straight from our buddy Kurt Anderson, who spoke last week from B2B Tail. He has taught me many things about SEO and is an incredible expert. If you ever want help with that, I highly encourage you to tap him. But what he taught me was have a keyword strategy and don't try to own a very broad keyword. Like if you make tennis shoes, don't think that you're going to do well if you're trying to get attention based off the keyword tennis shoe, because you're going to be one of millions of people showing up. So he encourages, and he probably talked about this last time, he encourages you to get really specific. You know, let's try to connect with the person who's looking for purple tennis shoes, pink shoelaces. So there's a lot here, and I'm not going to go through all of it. You'll have it in your deck, but pay attention to your keywords. Have a little strategy. Doesn't have to be convoluted and big, because you're thinking, okay, now I have so many strategies, but it's really all part of your marketing strategy. These are just little paths or spokes, components. So pay attention to SEO. It's absolutely important. I never realized it years ago. It was kind of foreign to me, and I have been enlightened in the last couple of years. So I encourage you to pay attention. There are also some free tools that I mentioned on the bottom of this page. Now, email, I touched on that a minute ago. I don't know, you might laugh. This is a picture that I use for our newsletter. It's called WTMFG. It goes out every other Sunday. And I just loved this picture because I thought, let's just be frank. This is how people check their phone when they check their phone. And this is when they peruse through emails, right? Or e-newsletters. So I'm a fan of humor, and I'm a fan of, like, let's just hit the nail on the head. But anyway, the point with this is that your email is your most important tool, I think, in communicating with people, even more than social media, because like I said, it's algorithm resistant. It's a way for you to stay connected and to have that one-on-one with people. You know, don't just stop at the e-newsletter, but send out, like, maybe you can do a regular newsletter from the president, or sorry, an actual email. You know, it doesn't always have to be e-newsletter looking. It can just look like a regular email. But if you're showing up consistently in a way that's different from your competitors, you're going to stand out. You want to pay attention to the style, voice, tone, and consistency. That goes back to your content strategy. So hopefully you already have that figured out when you do that. You want your subject lines to be short and punchy, and definitely avoid the wee-wee syndrome. And I highly encourage you to, I've given you like a list here in orange of all the things that you could do with email. So in case you're maybe lacking in the idea department, here's plenty of ideas to help you get jump started. Let's see, email builder, super easy to use. You can use MailChimp, HubSpot, Emma, MindSpring. There are a ton of them. Some are free, some are not. And you definitely want tracking and conversion, which is what those email builders will help you do. And you can see what's working and what's not working. And then social media, again,
Allison, sorry, before we move on to social media, someone said, what is the best way to get those emails?
That's the opt-in. If you create a lead generator which is that freebie on your website on the homepage, something that maybe is a pop-up that they would want to download, and all they have to give you in exchange is their email address and their first and last name, or whatever. You can just do first name. I like to get first and last, but yeah, and asking people to subscribe or to stay connected. Subscribe. A lot of people are saying that subscribe isn't as effective anymore because people are subscribed out. Do I really want to subscribe to one more thing? So you could change the invitation. And I do this through social media. I do this, like you could do this at your trade show. You can simply have a thing that says, hey, stay up to date on the latest and greatest, whatever. All they have to do is click the QR code. They're taken right to a special page on your website, and they give you their email address because you provided some kind of value. So that's my answer to that. Is there are a lot of ways to do it, but if you're providing value at every possible touch point and you're suggesting, like it's a call to action, right? Suggesting that they opt in to stay connected, then otherwise, if you don't ask, they're not going to do it. So I highly encourage you to ask people to opt in. And if I didn't answer that, please have Sarah let me know, because I can talk about that more. Social media, why? Why do we want to participate? I have manufacturers ask me this every day. Do we really need to do it? We're really busy. I don't think our customers are on social media. Maybe we just do LinkedIn. Okay, here's the thing. You're going to build trust faster before and after the sale if you are coming across consistently and you're everywhere that they are. So it's also a perfect place for listening. Gary Vaynerchuk tells this fantastic, his story actually, of when he started Wine Library for his dad. And he spent the first 6 months on Twitter listening and commenting. That's all he did. Anybody that was talking about wine, Gary was listening and commenting. He wasn't even tweeting yet. So it's a wonderful place to listen and pay attention to what your customers are talking about. So I highly recommend that you do that. Oops, and Wonder Woman took a digger. Okay, and strategy is super important with social media. Please, there's no one size fits all approach. And again, you want to tailor your social media to where your audience is. Think of it like this: their values, your values, shared values. That's that sweet spot in the middle. And a lot of times manufacturers will say to me, what if we run out of things to talk about? And I say, if you've gone through the Breakthrough Bootcamp, as I showed you before, and done that foundational work, and you've created your content strategy, you have chosen 3 topics that you're going to become known for. 3 things that you're going to be talking about all the time. These should be 3 things that your people really care about. And it doesn't just have to be about your products. It should be about, maybe your product is part of a bigger system, right? Maybe you do pipes, and maybe these pipes are part of a large sewer system, which is part of a larger infrastructure, which is part of, see where I'm going with that? And a lot of times manufacturers are afraid. Well, why would I talk about the environment when we sell a pipe? Because people care about it. It's part of a larger conversation. People also love humor. So if your brand persona is that you are funny or witty, that would definitely be part of Felt's brand persona, is we use humor a lot, and it's very effective with people. It's also very friendly. I'm not suggesting that every brand has to come across as, but it definitely is one way that you can engage with people. Like sometimes we'll just do something fun on Fridays, and people start to know that they can look for that and count on it. I also encourage you to create a content calendar. You can do that in monday.com. You can do that in Sprout Social. I've listed a couple things here that you can use, but it really helps because then when you're planning ahead and you're scheduling the posts, you're not stressed for what do we talk about? What do we say? What image are we going to use? And also to be consistent and listen. When people comment, you make sure to comment back. Thank them for sharing your posts. It's engaging. So social media is not a one-way push, 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 push. It's a conversation. So it's always ongoing. Please don't ignore the people that are taking the time to follow you, to comment, to share. Huge, very important. So we'll wrap up. This is what a connected, scalable marketing system can look like for you. And these are the 3 things that it will help you do. It's going to be easier to find you. It's going to be easier to trust you. And it's going to be easier to choose you. Because now you're not just seen and heard, you're felt, right? You've made that emotional connection and you will achieve the growth, which is your hero state and what's important to you. So I want to encourage you next week to tune in for Ira Bowman from Bowman Digital Media. He is a rock star. He is a friend. And this guy has amassed a huge following and he helps his clients do it as well. And he will teach you a lot. So don't miss Ira. Please feel free to connect with me. I'm easy to find on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Feel free to email me anytime. Don't be a stranger. I'm not someone that's, I'm so hard to get to, like, don't even think about it. Like, I am here for you. So please feel free to subscribe to the WTMFG newsletter. You can do that on my website and tune into the MFG Out Loud podcast. We bring this podcast to you every week, striking up courageous conversations about sales and marketing for manufacturers. My buddy Ray Zaganto and I created it over a year ago. And it's been one of the greatest marketing things I ever did. But secondly, what we learn and what our audience learns is just incredible from manufacturers like you who have struggled, who have won, successes and failures and what they've learned along the way, and experts, and that can help you as well. So I just want to say thank you to Sarah, Maura, Kiki, and Kurt, and thank you who showed up today and invested some time in yourself and your business, because I appreciate you and I really value what you're doing in this world, and I want to help you be a manufacturing trailblazer. So keep going.
That was awesome, Allison. Thank you so much. We do have one question in the Q&A right now. Before I get to that, I just want to put a couple administrative things out in the chat. And I do just want to reiterate what Allison said. One, thank you all for taking your time on a Friday. This was, I'm sure, well worth it. I love when Allison presents. This is a very great presentation. I think she breaks it down really easily for all of you to figure out what you should be considering in your marketing strategy to even do digital marketing in a way that will get you anything out of it. So I want to say thank you to Allison as well. For those of you that have been to our sessions before, you probably know what I'm about to say. We have a 4-question survey that we put at the end of each of our sessions. This is because we are funded by the SBA. So everything we do is at no cost to you as a small business owner. And to continue to provide this great programming, we just ask that you let us know what you liked, maybe what you didn't like, or what you'd like to see going forward, especially if there was something in here that you really liked, like Allison alluded to. If you wanted more webinars on content or email marketing or any of those things, please let us know. And for anyone who follows us long time across the months, you'll notice we take those requests seriously. When I see that something is very popular, we add it into the mix, and that's how we get sessions like the one with Allison today. So I just put that in the chat. And then one last thing I'm going to say is we have Manufacturing Series open office hours. So from 1 to 2, you can join this link that I'm about to put in the chat. And if you want to meet with us and talk to Allison a little bit more, if you want, you had a specific question or something that she didn't reach too much today that you want to do a deeper dive on, please do join us. I put that link in the chat. You can just click it. It'll bounce you over to the office hour, which is set up as a meeting. So you can actually talk to us. Turn your video on if you want to, not required, but you can do so at that link. All right. Someone said thank you. They thought it was very enlightening. I love to hear that. And then we have one question that I'm going to get to, and then we'll close it out. It's back to that email marketing again. So, for example, they said, I only have Facebook and Instagram. How do I provide people with email marketing info? How do I grab them to get email subscriptions?
On your, so do you have a website? Because if they, not yet.
It's
Okay.
not yet, yeah.
Then I would request, it makes it a little tough if you're only on social media and you're not giving them a place, right, to give you their email address. Now, if they want to do that through social, you can always ask, or you can, they could put it in the DM, and they could DM you and give you their email address. But most people, from my experience, are more willing to give you their email address if you give them a reason. So even putting up a simple landing page that exists as a website would be a way to start. And again, it's like somebody asking, hey, I always think about dating, right? So if somebody said, hey, don't you want to like me? Don't you want to follow me? Did you want to go out with me? And you're like, oh, we just met. I don't even know you. So think of it that way, is what are you giving them in return? So there's got to be a mechanism like a website or some kind of way. I'm a fan of getting creative and doing the most with what you have. So, and you can build a big fan base depending on what your product is on Facebook or Instagram. But definitely the online component is going to be important, I think, for collecting email addresses and for giving them something in exchange for that, if that helps.
Yeah, and one thing I'll just add to that is we actually just at the beginning of June did a 3-part constant contact series. And if you want, you can reach out to us at sbdc@temple.edu, and I can send you over some of those materials. But one of the things you can do is having constant contact is sometimes cheaper than building out a website. And they have landing pages built in and subscribe links built in. So like, let's say all you want was the subscribe link, you can do that and then have all your emails go right into constant contact, which is an email marketing base. It's not free, but it's cheap. You can look at the pricing and decide if that makes more sense, or a website landing page like Allison said. Or I like what you had said, Allison, about like, give them that call to action. I tell people call to action all the time. You need the CTA. So if all you have is Facebook and Instagram and you want to get their email so you can email them, even not through constant contact, just create an email list. Yeah. Put out a post on Instagram that, some kind of engaging post that says, hey, DM me your email address and I'll send you a copy of XYZ tips and tricks page, or you'll get a free 20% off coupon. You can still engage people in social media. It'll just be more manual on your side to pull all the emails out. Yeah. But that's one way to do it as well. And also, if you want to join us for the office hours, we can talk even more. I'm more than happy to share on that subject. And I'm sure Allison is as well. All right, I think we're right at 1 o'clock here. So we're going to close it out. I thank you all who are still on the call with us. Please do join us at the office hours. We're going to hop right on over there. And if not, have a happy weekend. And please do look at the rest of the series. I just put the link for the digital marketing deep dive. That's the one next Wednesday on the 14th. That link is in the chat if you need it. And we look forward to seeing you all in the future. All right, thanks, Allison, and everyone have a happy Friday.